Hello, truth seekers. Lawrence here, and welcome to Easy Enlightenment. So far, you understood that the enlightenment journey or spiritual journey is a lonely journey. Now, it is a lonely journey because no one can walk with you to see the truth. So, in that sense, the spiritual journey is a lonely journey. You have to walk on your own. No outer help is available to get to see the truth. Only help you are getting in the spiritual journey is differentiating what is spiritual journey and what is not, and how to get to the truth. Now that reference is available. Beside that, beside that, you are on your own. So in that sense, now we can see spiritual journey is a lonely journey. Now, you are interested to figure out the truth of who you are. Now you are in the game. And what is the approach right now for you and the world to get to the truth is the meditation, isn't it? Or quiet practice. Quiet practice is seen as a lonely path, disengaging from the world. Meditation is also, being with yourself and disengaging from the world. We see that as a lonely path. But here is the thing, the meditation or the quiet practice is still not the lonely journey. Why? Because you're still sitting with yourself and coloring your consciousness. There is a visualization going on. So the visualization is not lonely. You're still in yourself, engaging with the layers. Even the quiet practice, sitting quietly, there is something you are doing, which is probably controlling the body or controlling the mind to be quiet. So you're not lonely, you're engaging. That engagement is seen as an outward journey. Definitely things are happening in you, but still it's moving out within you. So that is not lonely. When you attach to any techniques and coloring your consciousness, or you're engaged with the quiet practice and you're hoping to something to happen, so it's all there's a dependency going on. So that's not quite the lonely journey. In the spiritual sense, a true spiritual journey sense, you feel lonely when you cross the line. There's a line when you step out of the boundary where you start to see the make-believe world in yourself and how the world is unfolding. That's where you start to feel lonely. And when you are in that, when you step out of that circle, step out of the line, and when you start to be clear, and when you start to engage back in the world, to share what you have seen, and when you share with the people, you see there's no interest in that topic. You realize that what you've seen and what you're sharing with your friends, family, your community is not their cup of tea. Yes, you are still in with the world, but what you see is different from what people are seeing. Now, that is a lonely path. And that's where you start to disengage from the world to do further work. And I guess that's supposed to happen because disengaging from the world will give you more time to work on yourself. Seeing the make believe, getting out of that boundary, stepping out of the boundary, it's just halfway to the truth. And further work needs to be done, which is about working on further dismantling the mind. So that is a lonely path where the world doesn't understand you. Especially, when you are in the world and you're pulsing with the world, dancing with the world. Our whole life is like that, isn't it? Our whole life is outwardly before spiritual practice. And when the life is moving outwardly, sharing stuff, making things together, moving collectively, and there's a shift of seeing things clearly, and that whole scenario brings a little sadness that of how the world is moving and where you are. If you are there, then there's a real sadness, real loneliness. But this is the part of the spiritual journey. So, further work. If you are there, the further work in a spiritual journey is becoming thorough of the mind. The crucial part of the spiritual journey is becoming thorough of the mind. And how to be thorough of the mind is by tracing the mind backward. The thoroughness of the mind is needed to let go of the mind. The spiritual journey is about letting go of the mind. Mind is the source of struggle because the mind is duality, the yes and no preference. And because of that, there's a struggle. Identifying oneself with the mind is a struggle. Identifying with the mind means seeing the mind as a reality. And in the first place, mind is not real at all. That's why the spiritual journey references you to let go of the mind, to be free. But letting go of the mind is not throwing or resisting or controlling the mind. It's about examining the mind to see the nature of the mind, how the mind comes into existence and how the mind becomes real for the person, for the individual. And right now, if you reflect in your life, notice how much preference you got, notice how much belief you got. What is that? That is the mind, right? Isn't it? Identifying yourself with the mind and prolonging your further movement with that mind and reinforcing that mind and anchoring in that mind. That is like, you know, the ego is hanging on to something to create a kingdom and live in that kingdom. The ego is all about that. And because of that, there is a struggle, there is a fear, there's a pain, there's a conflict, there's an emotional fluctuation happening in life. Why? Because the attachment to the mind, holding on to that preference, holding on to the belief. And all this belief, holding on to the belief, is coming from the place of experience, from the outside. The, the experience makes, leaves the residue as an idea, and the idea becomes a reality when we hold on to the belief or idea. So, so and to be free from the struggle, the mental, emotional, and psychological struggle, to be free from that, one must let go of the mind. And again, how to let go of the mind is by examining the mind. So, so if you are in the control approach to let go of the mind, you know that it doesn't work. Especially there are several, most of the meditation, uh, most of the meditation applies the technical incorporate the techniques in the meditation. And technique itself is the mental layer, and that is still an outward. If you're focusing on that to stay, to anchor the body, to anchor the mind, and it does give you the momentary uh, freedom, but it's not the doesn't lead you towards the truth, doesn't lead you to dissolve the fear. So if you see that, then what you can do is start to re-examine your belief, uh, start re-examining your mind. So journey towards the truth is about observing yourself, being aware of yourself, and then tracing your preference, your belief backward. You can do that, or you can be even more direct by looking into your attachment, tracing your attachment backward, tracing your fear backward. Working on the attachment fear backward is basically working on the mind. So the attachment is there because of the belief, isn't it? Fear is there in your life because of belief. So if you work on your attachment and belief, is more uh, direct work to work on your emotional entanglement. Emotional entanglement is a subtle entanglement in the human being. That those entanglement is the ingrained uh, uh, belief, ingrained meaning in the person. And to see the truth, not just working on the out superficial superficial uh, level, you have to go deeper, and working on your emotion, fear, your attachment is more direct. So so how to dismantle the mind, how to examine the mind, your fear, your attachment is this is a simple work. Ask yourself why to yourself. Make it personal. Again, it's a lonely journey, it's an inward journey, backward journey. So ask why to yourself. Why am I experiencing this fear? If you're experiencing the fear at this moment in your life, whatever fear you have, why am I experiencing this fear? You can work like that, and the why will give you the reason. So whatever reason is that, now you use the reason to deepen your work by asking why is that important. So why am I scared? Why is that important? And same way, keep going back. So if you're working on your fear, if you're working on your attachment, same thing. Why am I attached to this or that? And human beings are attached to everything. Physical world, mental world, emotional world, there's so much attachment. So no doubt there's attachment. If you can be direct, why am I attached? Be vulnerable, to know yourself in this journey. Wow. So you have to be direct. So why am I attached to whatever you're attached? And then that gives you a reason. And you can work on your, whatever you attach at this moment, with another human being or with your job, with your family, with your routine, whatever is that, you work on it. Why am I attached to this? And there's a reason, and once the reason is resurfaces in your mind, now use the reason. Why is that important? And then same way, follow it backward. So this is a simple way to figure out the root cause of the surface movement that is happening in our lives. The reason to attach, reason to have fear. You will see the root cause of the fluctuation or attachment. And then to see the truth, you have to let go the root as well. You have to uproot the root. And that's where the fear starts to resurface. When people start to hear that spiritual journey is about letting go of everything, when you see the root, and you have to give up the root to see yourself, this cohesion, this idea makes the fear to surge in the person. And when you see the fear in you, don't run away from the fear. Don't assume further narratives in your head. I don't want to let go, So I don't want to let go makes the spiritual journey to stagnate. So instead of creating any further narratives in your head, further story in your head, when you see the fear, what you need to do is examine the fear. Why am I afraid of letting go? So that's more direct. Now that why will help you to examine why the fear is there in your life. You start to see a lot of fears, fear of this, fear of that, and eventually it leads you towards a fear of being nobody. Fear of being nobody is challenging for everybody because the world is teaching us, the environment is teaching us to be somebody. You are somebody today, isn't it? Through your effort, you are conditioned to certain belief, and you work on your belief, and then you are somebody today. With that belief, you have made something for yourself. There is fun in your life. There is a stability in your life. And spiritual journey is asking you have to drop that. Isn't that scary? You have to let go to find your true self. It's scary. Your ego will just resist. I don't want to give up what I have. What I build up is my effort. It's your sweat, your tears, with meaning, and giving up everything you have made so far to find your true self is giving up all the fun in your life. And that's where people start to bounce like up, go hell with the spiritual journey. Let me just have fun. And that's where people start to get stuck. So When you experience that, and when you start to come to the point that spiritual journey is about letting go doesn't mean that you're abandoning your life. It's about inquiring your own mind, to learning to be thorough of the mind, learning to understand what is real and what is not, understanding what you are is real or not, what you have, what you're identifying yourself with is real or not. That's the spiritual journey. Differentiating this, the self-inquiry. When you start to see the fear, working on your fear will help you. If you trace your fear backward all the way, that process will help you to see what is true, what is changing, and what is unchanging in you. And pretty much, you know, eventually, when you ask yourself, "Who am I?" That's where uh, the shift happens. The real shift happens. The "Who am I?" inquiry makes you see the plain sight truth, and when you see the plain sight truth, that's where the drama drops. That's where the fear dissolves. That's where the ego gives up. Ego giving up. When the ego self gives up by seeing the truth, the ego self, with the ego self, your conflict, your drama, your fear, everything drops at that moment. There's a aha moment happens in you. All the stress, all the heaviness in you just drops. That's what the enlightenment journey is all about. Seeing the truth and letting the drama drop off off your shoulders, you know, dropping off your head. And that's the that's the way to anchor in your true self, which is the consciousness itself. And the nature of the consciousness is conscious. You are a conscious human being, and that conscious human being, the nature, is empty. So, to see your true face, you must empty yourself. Anyway, it's a lonely journey, okay? Uh, Lonely journey, and at at some point you start to feel lonely, and that's okay. You start to feel really lonely because people don't understand you, your family don't understand you, the world don't understand you, okay? And that's fine. That's fine. That's supposed to happen in the spiritual journey, and that is a blessing, because that becoming lonely, when you are lonely like that, you are close to the truth. Close to the truth. So don't give up your journey when you feel lonely. And here's the thing, another thing. When you feel lonely, when the world doesn't understand you, your family, your friends don't understand you, this is the ego. There's the ego comes in. If the world doesn't understand me, nobody understands me, what's the point of living? Oh, that is a heavy drama unfolding, heavy narratives unfolding in the person. So when when the world don't understand you, don't step into that drama within you. If people have this, if people have, if you have, I'm talking to you anyway. So if you have this idea coming in the spiritual journey to give up your life, because you also know the reference, the true freedom is about the death, the idea of death. So when the idea of death is there, it's not dying in the body. Okay, death is the metaphor. It's the death of the ego, the death of the false self in you. So to see the true self, you don't you don't kill yourself. That's not the spiritual journey. That's not the freedom of the spiritual journey. That killing oneself itself is a story happening in the person, and the story makes the person to give up life. Thinking giving up life means no more struggle, no more drama in your life. It is true, but but that's not freedom. That's not freedom while you're living. There is a freedom while you're living, which is the death of the ego. So when people, when the world, when the people, when your friends don't understand you, where you are, don't fall into that trap. You stay aware and keep working on your mind. So working on the mind, whatever idea comes in you to act on it, you must use that idea to trace it back. Why I'm listening to this idea? Why? Again, use why to trace it back all the way. After when you reach that, when you cross that line, when you step out of the boundary, whatever idea comes in your head, you must investigate back to see where is that coming from. And uh, that's important, okay, especially when there is a situation comes in like what's the point of living. So don't give up, don't torture yourself physically. you know the real journey is about examining the mind to dissolve the mind. All right. So um, again, if you have stepped out of that boundary, you are closer to the truth. So don't give up. Self inquiry is the way to realize the true self, to realize the truth, the unchanging, the absolute truth in you. Okay, so that's my 2 cents for you. Anyway, thanks for watching this video. I hope my video is helping you to some extent to, you know, to declutter your life in some sense. Uh, yeah. I have, by the way, I have also published 2 books with my friends. One is called Witness Meditation Notebook, and another one is Unbecoming the Mind, to see what is true in oneself. So if you're interested to read the book, if you like reading, you can go to Amazon and you can find my book. And yeah, get a copy, read, and if that sparks, you know, further light, that would be a, you know, that would be good. And if you have any questions, you can always ask me. Anyway, that's all in this video. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Take care for now.